Hello, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. Ahead of your presentation to Elon's students, you've got a lot going on, so we appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. You are the co-founder and chief executive officer of JetZero, which is an aerospace company focused on developing a more fuel-efficient aircraft. You've partnered with NASA, Delta Airlines, and you also won a grant with the U.S. Air Force recently. Yeah. Can you tell me about the company, but also what initially sparked your interest in looking at aircraft and aerospace technology, and what led you to co-found JetZero?
Sure. Great to be here. A pleasure to meet and people here and see Elon. I would say part of my inspiration was having worked for the other Elon. At Tesla, I was in the automotive business for 20 years and was part of the founding team there. So when I came into aerospace about 10 years ago, I had already developed this appetite for disruption. So that when I was introduced to the concept of an all-wing design, right, which is lift across the entire wingspan, incredibly efficient. My first thought was, why has this not been done before? What's holding it back? What are the parameters? Is there an opportunity to make this an entrepreneurial endeavor? I quickly learned that it was actually an even more promising story than I had thought. And I started to get more and more excited about it. I was working at a company called Beta Technologies, which is in its early days. It's since gone public just in November. Very successful in the eVTOL space, electric aircraft space. eVTOL is like a specific vertical takeoff and landing, but they're in the electric aircraft space. But I was really captivated by this idea of we're all traveling on jets. They're fairly inefficient. There's nowhere to go to get more efficiency because they've kind of wrung all the efficiency out of the platform. So fuel burn is a problem, emissions are a problem, noise is a problem, and that isn't even scratching the surface of all the things that we think are problems, which is my seat comfortable? Is there a place for my bag? Do I have to queue up? How long does it take to get on the plane, off the plane? And these are the types of things that I think the customer really wants to see. But keep in mind, our customer is the airlines, and so they want to see a lower fuel burn, right, primarily.
Yeah, and the blended wing body, as you call it, right, that's correct?
Yeah.
Blended wing body. It promises better fuel efficiency. So when you started working on the concept, how did you build a team that was looking to have this innovation?
Yeah, the team existed already in some part. So in around 1990, NASA came to some gentleman at McDonnell Douglas and said, here's a B-2 stealth bomber flying wing, not a blended wing. Both of them are all wing. Both are lift across the wingspan. But they came up with the blended wing as a different, right? It's not the same. It's not a triangle perfectly as a flying wing is. That's kind of at the behest of NASA. And so they had sort of existed in McDonnell Douglas and then in Boeing, and some of them ventured out into other areas. But they all were committed to, hey, this is the inevitable future of flight. We need to be part of making this happen. And they found themselves at their end of their careers, effectively, they were between 60 and 80. And they were effectively looking at that and saying, it hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. And so I was really just a catalyst to say, well, why not? I can't think of a good reason. There were many reasons why not, but none of them really struck me as good reasons. So we all got together and said, let's do this.
Yeah, you kind of stayed curious with that. You kept asking why and why and why.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what so usually startups, entrepreneurial things, continue to ask why through everything. Ours was, we can just create the new airframe, and then everything else we can just take effectively off the shelf from existing certified stuff. But when it comes to building the business, we continue to ask why?
Right. And then in June of 2025, you announced that you would be building your first manufacturing facility here in North Carolina in Greensboro at the Piedmont Triad Airport. Mm-hmm. Josh Stein announced it and said it would add 14,000 jobs and bring $5 billion into the state. So what were the key factors in that decision, and how do you see this, benefiting JetZero?
Well, that team and their partnership ability. So it was Josh Stein and Lee Lilly who runs who runs the economic development there, and there were a host of other folks that were involved. And they really inspired us about North Carolina being this really, great place to build a business. So that I think was critical. And we looked at all the factors, and one of them was, of course, what is the caliber of the educational system that surrounds the area. So obviously there's great universities here, and we really liked that. We thought that was good. So they put a great incentive packages, great universities, and it's a great place to work. And we believe the infrastructure is here in a lot of different ways, at the airport, just in the greater Greensboro area. So there's really a lot to any decision like that, but all of the things were lining up for the good.
Yeah. And then turning more towards that educational aspect and students, you're here today at Elon, you're going to talk to students. You went to Furman yourself.
I did.
And you didn't study engineering, you studied political science,
That's
right?
correct.
So here at Elon, there's students that are doing the same thing that you're doing and might want to go into aerospace, but they're not studying that. What advice do you have for them, or about wanting to build a career?
I would say don't be confident in the quality of your liberal arts education. You have a tremendous advantage. The world is in need of generalists, people who, I don't think of myself as a political science major. I think of myself as a liberal arts grad, right? So it was taking a broad spectrum of learning and being able to make connections and connecting dots. Pattern recognition is super important. Relationships. Small classrooms to me matter. So you have a tremendous thing here, and I would urge anyone at Elon to be super confident, because as we go forward into a world of AI, you have people spending a lot on their very hyper-specialized degrees, and I just see the value of that. I'm long on liberal arts, and I'm a short seller on hyper-specialized college degrees. That's why I'm here talking to y'all, because I believe really deeply in that.
Yeah. Was there anything else you'd like to share?
I would say make the most of your 4 years at Elon and this part of life, because life speeds up afterwards, and the years start flying by. But everyone I know, like the 4 years of college are just the most formative. Like, I still get together with my friends and we still tell the same stories about the same 4 years of our life. So enjoy.